Hey, yo, what up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Jesus. Welcome back to another Let's Talk episode. And yeah, I can't believe it. Time is flying. We're already on episode number 5. Great. So, let's talk about today. Today was a lazy daisy day. It was a Monday. You know how Mondays go. Um, eh, I don't want to rush with this, so forgive me for taking my time. I just want to think for a few seconds, then talk. So the predominant focus of the day was just chill, relax. Um, I watched Yeezy season 3, excuse me, fashion show, which was held in Madison Square Garden, had about 20,000 people. It was in 2016, so it was way back, about 2016, 5 years ago now. That sounds crazy. Um, Basically, it was very different because Yeezy was a new company, and then it was just their third season. They launched in everybody. They filled in the entire Madison Square Garden arena. They didn't know what to expect. The room was filled with anticipation. Uh, Everything was covered up. There were like two large domes covering the show, and then when they unveiled the curtains, so Mr. West was just playing his music and uh, talking to the crowd, and then they pulled off the sheets, and then there were like two mountains, and there were like 1,500 models in the middle of the arena, and they were all wearing different tones. They I didn't know it at the time, but after reading a review from one of the models themselves, they said that everybody was supposed to be um, Ethiopian refugees, if I can recall correctly. And then that's the reason why there were so many tonal colors and so many brown people. Brown is beautiful. And black people, like, yeah, obviously I'm talking about brown and black people, same thing. And there were a few white peoples. They literally had to keep a straight face the whole time. So basically, that they weren't allowed to smile, they weren't allowed to dance, they weren't allowed to do only natural movements. So you're allowed to like stand up, walk around, sit down, move your arms, pretty much that. So they stood like that for like 1.5 hours while music just played and people could see the clothes. I have to say the clothes were a bit, there was some level of like the jackets and uh, let me think which outfits really stood out. So the shoes definitely stood out because I think back in those times there were those palladium shoes. You remember they were like boot like, so that was like the style of the time. So there were a lot of boots, but the Yeezy boots were much better designed, much more timeless instead of those Palladiums which like fell off after like 1 year. So the shoes were really nice. They were, oh yeah, they were camo shoes. The colors were very different. I feel like those colors were a bit ahead of their time because even like now you see um, fashion houses, well, not even, they're not even copying them now, but you see some of the lighter colors used by Balmain, things like that. So yeah, it was pretty interesting. um the like Naomi Campbell and everything was there, so it was pretty sick. And then when I was reading a review, there was like this random model, she was just recounting her experience. But yeah, it seems so trivial to speak about fashion shows, while we in such a um, peculiar time with COVID and everything. So like, I'm just listening to the news and they're saying, um, if our vaccine rollout is not fast enough, then our stock of vaccines are going to be shipped overseas from Aspen, because they can make up to like 1 million doses a day, which is a lot. And I don't think we definitely won't be able to vaccinate 1 million people a day. The government estimates that we can vaccinate 300,000 people a day. But even that's not very realistic. I mean, I don't even trust them at this point. We had to get a private company to come and save us. So yeah, thanks to Aspen Brew. Very nice. I was thinking of doing like a video on Aspen, on Stevie Saad and his wife and the company, things like that, because I think it's quite important just to realize where these corporations come from. Okay, so let's just talk about it. I know I'm not gonna have like any graphics on the screen or any pictures or whatever, but just try to listen to what I'm talking about. So the man who owns Aspen is a majority of it, the founder, stuff like that. His name is Steven Sod, and he he started the company in 1997, I think, if I believe. And then before that, he used to work for a local pharmacy company, so he got his experience from there. But that closed down. But he had a share in it. I mean, he there that got sold, and he sold his shares there for like quite a decent amount. I think it was $4 million or something he got for his shares there. Then, well, before that, actually, he was a CA, so he finished his charter accounting degree and everything. And then fast forward to 1997, yeah, so he started Aspen, and their goal was to target the affordable but high quality, um, uh, how can I say it? YouTube, can't even say the D word. Um, what's it? Pharmaceutical products, so medications basically. And their model was very successful because they became one of the leading pharmacare manufacturers in the entire world. They're number one for anesthetics, like number two for oncology. So they huge. They have plants everywhere in the whole world, Europe, um, Brazil, China, Canada. Not so much in the U.S. Uh, um, but a lot in Europe. Most of the market is in Europe, so they manufacture all around the world. Even some of our stock of vaccines are gonna come from Belgium, if I believe. So, and then they do manufacture a lot in South Africa. So this company had acquired a not vaccine manufacturing. It's just a manufacturing plant in the Eastern Cape, like a long time ago, when they founded the company. And I think they I think they transformed another company or something, because I read that in the investment portfolio that this manufacturing plant was there, and the bank Investec didn't want them to. They wanted them to sell that, but luckily they didn't sell it because they could see the potential in the manufacturing capability, and then now that's going to save us today, because we can manufacture vaccines there in the Eastern Cape. So that's like a huge plus. So big up Aspen. And basically, the reason why they're so successful is because the cost to manufacture these, they keep the costs like really low, but they keep the quality of products really high. So literally, they can sell their products they can price it based on demand. So most of the time they price it low, and affordably, and then they just sell it. And even in times of demand, like dexamethasone, they didn't up their profits or anything. They are more worried about saving people's lives. So that's a good lesson. If anybody wants to become an entrepreneur, it's not about the money or profit margins, it's about the value that you add and the gap that you fill in making people's lives better, adding value to people's lives. It's not about the money, it's about what your business can do to help and build more, and not necessarily build more, but um, change someone's, help basically. And the money and everything will come later. So currently, Mr. Saad is the richest man in South Africa, may even be richest man in Africa. He's valued at like $1 billion, $1.3 billion, somewhere around there. So he's going well, and he's quite old too. He's about 56, so we're not that young. But anyway, that's just a lesson to everyone. You don't have to be a pharmacist to build a multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical company. You can employ pharmacists, you can employ scientists. You just need to operate. You need the spearhead, the leader, the visionary is the person who guides and steers and helps society and solves problems in many different ways. It doesn't just have to be in one way, and they adapt to those, and they get the specialists, they work with the specialists, and they manage the finances. That's what the leader's job is. They just have to have the vision. Not really manage the finances, but manage the resources. And so basically, that's a lesson. If anybody wants to become an entrepreneur who's listening to this, and yeah, so it's quite hard to think about other things when you got COVID plaguing your mind, because cases look like they're gonna rise in South Africa. So not really looking forward to that. But anyway, at least we know that vaccines are getting manufactured and potentially they could be delivered, and maybe we'll get back to normal by maybe next year. So another thing that I wanted to speak about onto other news. I watched this movie called Grindelwald, The Crimes of Grindelwald. I don't know what it was about before, but it turned out pretty awesome. It's basically like a Harry Potter series, but now the new version, because obviously Harry Potter got old. So this is the new version where they still use Hogwarts and the Ministry of Magic and all of that good stuff, and they just got new characters and stuff like that. Like some of the actresses were pretty. I have to say that, like, well done to the casting directors. Well done, you guys. But, there was Johnny Depp who acted. Uh, I forget those names, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, Showmax is really cool. Oh my god, I watched the Trolls. I don't know if I spoke about this yesterday. The Trolls World Tour. Oh my god, it says there, happiest movie ever made. I agree with that 100%. Yo, that movie was so colorful. It's like everything about the movie was so specific, so well thought out. It was too good. I have to watch. I could watch that movie 50 times over. I couldn't even explain. Like, I'd have to do a full movie review. Obviously, I say I'm gonna do these things. I say I'm gonna do a movie review, but I never end up doing them. Do I? So um, let's move on to something else. Oh yeah, another thought that I was thinking. It was like the effect of um non-excitement, or what emptiness could do to a person. Like, you hear of these people getting depressed and things like that, but you don't really know what they're talking about. It's just like this word that everybody, depression, depression, blah, blah, honestly, it's like they should explain more. because the people use depression and anxiety in the same sentence when they're actually two totally different things. They are so different. People think that is the same, but it's really not. So you need to talk about these things in simpler terms. You need to put them into simpler concepts, excuse me, so people can understand. So I'm just going to talk about one aspect of this. So I was thinking of the impact of what emptiness could do to a person's life. Like, you you don't understand it, and you wouldn't know even if you've never experienced it. But what really happens to those people who are depressed? Like, imagine if they feel empty, right? How how in the world do they um, ever eradicate that feeling? How do they ever come back? Because it's like, once you've been to the dark side, even if you come back to the light, or to the, let's say, your previous, or maybe you come, let's say you change to one state which is not ideal, and you come back to a normal state. I don't like using that word normal, but we'll just use it for now. You always know, like, what the dark side is. So even if you come back to this side, you still know what it's like. It's not like you leave it, because that's ingrained into you. You don't forget. Let me put in simple words. You don't forget the feeling of happiness, do you? You don't forget the feeling of excitement. You know, the feeling when you get a new toy and you open it up, and you can always remember that feeling when you get a Christmas present. Doesn't matter what time of the year it is, you always remember, like, that excitement and that hype building up. So you always remember the dark side. So I was thinking, how do people come back from that? And if not, if not, if they don't come back from that, right? Where does the scale balance out? I mean, it has to balance out somewhere. There's balance in life in all types of ways that we couldn't even imagine. So, trying to imagine the unimaginable is pretty insane. So that's what I'm going to talk about for today. And make sure to come back tomorrow to see another Let's Talk video. Yeah, peace.